Hello, witchy ones and tubelets alike. Reverend Thodwin here again in my second installment of the YouTube Pagan Challenge. And today I figured I would do my video while I was on my walk. So, yeah, here I am. Beautiful Kelowna, British Columbia. Well, more like West Bank, but, so, anyway, right to it. The question, I was going to do two questions today because I'm kind of late to the whole thing as it is. So the first question is, am I in or out of the broom closet? Well, I'm about as out of the broom closet as I feel comfortable with. It kind of depends on the person I'm with and who I'm talking to and how well I know them. It's a lot like whether or not I'm in or out of the closet, sexually speaking. If I know the person well enough, and I know that they have no questionable intentions with having knowledge about me, about my deeper personality, then you know what? I don't mind if they know about my sexual orientation. Same thing with my spiritual beliefs. If I know that they are, like a brimstone and fire Christian who doesn't really want to listen to what I have to say about my beliefs, more so just wants to convince me otherwise, I'm just gonna kind of keep religion as a non-topic, But when I was working at Boston Pizza in Alberta, I was actually co-workers with a very, very nice and gentle-souled Jehovah's Witness. She was probably late 30s, really nice Filipino lady, had a lot of love for her family, and I loved that. She worked so hard. She was in the restaurant working with her husband, and they had a family of 4 kids, another one on the way. And in my mind, that's kind of like, why are you having another child? But they're humans, they have some sexual needs too, but they also happen to be Jehovah's Witnesses, so they're not fond of the whole birth control thing. But whatever. She had talked to me about what had made her go from Catholic to Jehovah's Witness, because when she was in the Philippines is a very, very, very Catholic nation. They love the church so much. But she found, as I did, that the Catholic Church, well, I found the Lutheran Church, but she found the Catholic Church and found it to be superstitious, really superstitious. And if you see my previous video on superstition versus religion, you'd come to see that I don't have any time for superstition in my spirituality. Because to me, spirituality is meant to be something that enhances your life and makes it more worth living, not something that takes away from it and makes it harder to live necessarily. There's some restrictions that any religion would put on you, but they should be restrictions that make life better for everyone else, including yourself, Not just arbitrary, thou shalt and thou shalt nots, simply because someone said it 2,000 years ago. And so she told me about that and about the other things that kind of contributed to her spiritual awakening, I guess you could call it. And, one sec here. Look at that, you can see the moon up there, that's cool. She had talked to me about that. And so, normally, when it comes to, Christians, especially Jehovah's Witnesses, because, as I'm sure many of you know, they're very preachy, they believe they're doing the right thing, and you know what? We all do. But, that was probably the first time I had actually come out of the broom closet to someone that I normally wouldn't have, because she was talking to me very openly, very honestly about her spirituality, and we were in the workplace, so, we couldn't exactly willingly and knowingly offend each other because of our beliefs, because that would get us in trouble. So then I told her that I was a pagan, and then she just kind of looked at me and was like, don't worry, I'm not going to eat your children. And we both laughed, and it was nice because we kind of came to an understanding of each other. And while we didn't agree with each other, we still respected that we each had our own beliefs and that they made sense to us, and that it was because it was what we thought was best for us. And if that is the kind of person that I know I'm talking to, then I will let them know. All my friends know my spirituality. My family all knows about my spirituality. Even my Lutheran pastor grandmother. She was less than thrilled to find out that I had converted to paganism, obviously. We've had many a conversation that have lasted for a long time, just kind of going over the theology of the two practices, and it's an interesting discussion every time, and always, oh dear, slippery, always productive, but we end up kind of just saying, okay, whatever, well, you believe what you believe, and I believe what I believe, and it's kind of like, yeah, that's how it goes. But in, like, everyday circumstances, I won't normally, like, really bring attention to my spiritual beliefs unless someone is actively bashing them. And usually if they are, it's because they don't understand it and they don't realize that they're in the presence of someone who happens to hold those beliefs. So, oh god, I'm gonna slip, aren't I? Nope, okay. Yeah, it's really muddy here, so it's kind of hard to walk up this slope. Okay. I'm gonna go around that. But, yeah. I try to basically defend my beliefs when it's applicable to the situation, but as I'm pretty sure most pagans in the world do, I don't proselytize. I simply dispel misconceptions and harmful viewpoints of the religion. But I'm not like, you shouldn't say that kind of thing because it's offensive. I'm more like, well, actually, pagans really believe this, and they don't do that. And I won't say that for everyone, but if it's something like, oh, they're a bunch of Satan worshippers, and they make animal sacrifices, and they're a bunch of dreamer hippies. It's like, we might be dreamer hippies to a certain extent. Yeah, fair. But we don't make any animal sacrifices. Most of us have one rule, and that's to harm none. And that's not even really a rule, but it's a tenet that we live by. It's getting dark, holy. But, yeah, that's the extent of my closet. When it comes to the next topic, do I have an altar or shrine or sacred space? Well, yes. I'm sure any of you who have watched more than one of my videos, or even one of them, you've seen the altar that I normally do my videos in front of, and that is what I call my winter sacred space. Given that it's now just the beginning of spring pretending to exist, I'm kind of starting to walk around a little bit more, get into the mountains more, get back out into the pines. And this is my true sacred space. This right here. It's beautiful. It's one of the main reasons I moved here from Central Alberta, because Central Alberta is all just flatlands and fields and prairies. This is the true sacred space to me. And I feel like I'm at church when I'm out here, it's the same kind of feeling I had when I was in church when I was a Lutheran. And it just makes me feel connected to everything. I remember when I first started exploring my path as a pagan, when I lived in BC the first time, those apartments I was walking by before, that's where we actually used to live. And there was a field just across from those apartments with a walnut tree in it. And when I first started exploring paganism, I remember Mom and I would have arguments a lot, and I'd go sit under that walnut tree and just think and kind of pray, basically. And I mean, looking back now, I know that walnut trees are known for their properties of healing and wisdom and divine communication. So I guess subconsciously I was kind of drawn to that for its natural properties. But yeah, no, this is my sacred space, and I want people to realize that an altar is one thing, and yeah, it can be useful, but truly all an altar is it's a microcosm of everything else. It's a microcosm of everything that is sacred within the universe, right? You have the positive, the negative, the masculine, and the feminine, the 4 elements represented. You have the 4 actions associated with the 4 elements that are represented by the tools. You have the witch's pyramid represented. But all of those things are just naturally found outside, in the woods. Even like a tree has all 4 elements just beautifully demonstrated in its existence, just as a human does. The moon is your negative, right up there. The sun is your positive. The ground you're walking on is kind of like the foundation for the witch's pyramid. And there's not really anything that can compare to being out in nature for sacred space, you know? And sorry it's getting kind of dark. I didn't expect it to get dark that quickly. But yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to get out there. I use an altar, but mainly in the winter. And if I'm doing a ritual outside in the summer or spring or fall, sometimes I'll bring candles and such, but more often than not, it's just maybe a wand or an athame, a chalice if I want to make a libation. And I just make do with what nature has to offer. And I draw symbols from nature, and I use nature to divine the messages that I want to divine in the ritual, and I don't know, to me that's just like a very pure, organic form of spirituality, of worship as a pagan. And yeah, so that's my sacred space. That is my take on the broom closet, and you will be seeing more of me for the YouTube Pagan Challenge in the upcoming days here. So thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, may you blessed be and merry part.